Hi everybody and welcome back. This is my September vlog. I missed August because I was out having fun and traveling and doing a bunch of good stuff and wanting to enjoy summer. So welcome back to September, and today I wanted to talk about how we can create an intimate relationship with ourselves for greater health and well-being. So to me, in order to have good health, it's vital that we connect. And what I mean by that is how we feel, become aware of not only our physical bodies, but our mental, emotional, and even spiritual selves. And what I mean by spirit is that might mean for some that it's God or a higher self. For me, it's sort of the truth that exists within my heart. So when I spend too much time up here, I like to get out of here and get into here, because to me, this is a place where I am guided in my life. And so to me, that is my sense of spirituality. So I wanted to offer this connection to self as an opportunity for consideration, as it's so often overlooked in the health and fitness industry. So more importantly, I also find that these technological advances that we have are leading us more into becoming more distracted and less connected to ourselves on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual sense of self. So to me, our minds, bodies, and emotions are wonderful feedback mechanisms to help us connect more deeply to ourselves. And if we choose to pay attention to these elements of self, we can optimize not only our lives, but our health and our well-being in a very personal and profound way. On the flip side, if we don't, we kind of run the risk of a few things. Number one, our minds can tend to run rampant with stories that don't lead to a more fulfilling life. And we may not even be aware of these stories. So this is a big reason why I meditate. For many reasons I meditate, but for a big reason, it's because I can start to witness the stories and the thoughts that I'm experiencing or telling myself, and then work to change that. Number two, we live a large portion of the day with negative emotions due to our innate negativity bias. So this is a caveman mindset that is programmed within humans from the beginning of time. It was a way that our ancestors protected themselves by being hypervigilant to all the potential threats around them. Yet today, we have an abundance of food, shelter, and physical safety that makes this way of being no longer necessary, and for that matter, helpful, even with our current world challenges, which it seems to be quite a bit these days. Yet hypervigilance, to me, over time, doesn't seem to lead to good outcomes or a healthy person. Number three, a body that stops working well because we failed to listen to its wise cues. How we choose to listen to what our bodies require through movement, food, sleep, rest, and play, and hey, not to mention the information we put in our minds, all contribute like fertilizer to a plant. So being aware of what type of fertilizer we choose to use is pretty vital. Number four, disconnection from our spirit. And for me, this is the part of our sense of self that knows what ways to take in life. We might not always be right, but generally, to me, it's always been a place of guidance. So when we lose that connection, we can tend to run the risk of dismissing our own personal sense of agency and allowing others' opinions to determine our life choices. So I've done this many times in my life, and I'm sure I will continue to dismiss this part of myself. But when I am able to listen to what is true for me, it usually works better personally and unusually for all that I come into contact with. So to me, that's such a big component. So I love this quote by Aristotle. He says, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. So if that's true, perhaps the first step to health and a more fulfilled life is through self-awareness. If you're interested, I have a few ways that you might want to connect if you're not already connecting in these ways, but a few ways that you might want to connect. Number one, notice the thoughts and or emotions that arise first thing upon waking. So for me, when I wake up, there's a sense of peace and calm for a very short period of time because I'm coming out of sleep and I'm a little disoriented, but it's a lovely time in the morning. Sometimes when I wake up, I can notice after that I start thinking about the problems of the day and that negativity bias kicks in. And then I start to notice my body get tight or my breathing shorten. These types of things can happen. I can have the inverse experience too. If I can wake up with a positive sense of the day, my body feels pretty good. So that's something that I really pay attention to in the morning. Number two, you can notice how your body moves when you're walking, working out, or even just getting out of bed. So sure, our bodies age. However, could we optimize the aging process and not go downhill? For me, that's a big yes. And that, again, requires just us taking the time to listen to our bodies, and especially as we age, because our bodies are different. We're not operating like we did when we were 20. So just understanding as we age what the body's trying to tell us and guide us into feeding it, moving it appropriately. And number 3, feel your food. This is a big one. What we choose to put in our bodies definitely has an impact on our health and well-being. So what you can do is half an hour to an hour after you finished eating, you might just want to pay attention to the effects of your food. So how we digest it and how we assimilate it in the body will show up in digestive issues if it's not a food that is particularly good for us. It also can have an impact on our energy and our mood, and also any inflammatory processes that are going on. So if you find that you're having pain after eating, or even within the next 24 hours, it could be something that you're eating that's kind of triggering up that inflammation. So to me, all this sounds easy, yet what happens when we get messages from the body that we don't want to pay attention to, and I'm guilty of that too. So generally, sometimes we go into disassociation. So we either start overthinking our problems, we can disassociate with alcohol, with drugs, with TV, whatever your go-to distraction tool is, it's easier sometimes to do. And I think sometimes that's necessary. However, I'd also offer that paying attention and just starting to notice these things and maybe being a little curious about them might be the first step to change. So this leads me to next month's vlog, which is about creating a healthy habit. And perhaps this month you want to consider paying attention to your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual self. And then next month, with maybe new discoveries, I'm going to teach you how to adopt a healthy habit, and very easy. It's from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. He has this 2-minute rule, and I'm going to talk about it very quickly, and then you can start to sort of bring it into your day. So basically, starting a new habit is 2 minutes long, and if you do it consistently, it starts to grow and become bigger. So we'll talk about that next month, and I hope you guys have a great week. And if you found this interesting, please pass it on to your friends and family, and I'll see you next time.